How to read a book. Ever feel like your brain is just renting words instead of buying them? You spend 3 hours crushing chapters, close the glossy cover, and immediately realize your mind is as empty as a stadium after a concert. You can't remember a single thesis, a single argument, or even the main character's middle name. It is honestly as frustrating as playing Bach on a banjo. The harsh truth is that most of us were taught how to read in elementary school, and then the entire educational system just assumed we were good to go for the rest of our lives. But trying to tackle a complex, world-changing book with a grade school strategy is like trying to win a Formula One race on a rusty tricycle. You're putting in a ton of physical effort, but you aren't actually getting anywhere fast. Enter Mortimer Adler and his absolute masterpiece of a guide, How to Read a Book. Adler's whole philosophy boils down to one simple, beautifully aggressive thesis. Reading is not a passive spectator sport. If you're sitting on the couch just letting your eyes glide across black ink while thinking about what you want for dinner, you aren't actually reading. You're just tracking text. True reading requires active mental sweat. If you aren't finishing a chapter, feeling a little bit tired, you're probably doing it wrong. Adler breaks reading down into 4 distinct levels, but today we are diving deep into the 2 real game changers that will completely transform your study habits: Inspectional Reading and Analytical Reading. Let's say you just bought a massive, intimidating book on the history and future of artificial intelligence. The absolute worst thing you can do is start blindly at page 1, sentence 1, and hope for the best. That is a psychological trap. Instead, you start with Inspectional Reading, which is basically a strategic high-speed preview of the entire landscape. Think of it as scouting the enemy territory before launching the attack. You want to give the book a systematic skimming. 1. Devour the preface and the table of contents. This is the author's ultimate roadmap. They are literally telling you exactly where they plan to take you. 2. Interrogate the index. Look at the back of the book. Are there specific words or concepts that pop up constantly? If the index has 50 references to neural networks and only 2 to robotics, you instantly know where the true heart of the book lives. 3. Flip through the chapters like a detective. Read the headers, look at the charts, and specifically read the final 2 paragraphs of pivotal sections. Authors are notorious for putting their absolute best, most concise summaries right before a chapter ends. Now, you have built a perfect mental map. When you finally sit down to dive into the actual text, your brain isn't wandering aimlessly in a pitch-black forest. It's following a brightly lit trail that you already scoped out. Next comes Analytical Reading, or what I like to call proactively wrestling with the author. This is where the real magic happens. This is where you active recall your way through the pages. You aren't just letting the author lecture you, you are actively talking back, questioning their motives, and demanding proof. Imagine you're reading a chapter where the author boldly claims that generative AI models will entirely replace human writers by next year. A passive reader just nods along, swallows the information, and moves to the next paragraph. An analytical reader, however, goes to war. You grab a pencil and start aggressively interrogating the pages. 1. Underline the core thesis. Find the exact sentence where the author states their main claim and lock it down. 2. Argue passionately in the margins. Write things like, "What about genuine emotional nuance?" Or, "Where is the source for this data? This feels incredibly overhyped." 3. Translate the jargon. If the author drops a heavy academic concept like technological singularity, stop immediately. Do not pass go. Make sure you can explain that concept in plain, colloquial English to a golden retriever before you dare turn the page. Adler famously said that a book isn't truly yours until you have written between the lines. Buying a book just gives you physical ownership of paper and glue. Reading it analytically gives you intellectual ownership of the ideas. You need to confidently identify the exact problem the author is trying to solve, pinpoint their main arguments, and ultimately decide for yourself if they actually proved their point or if they're just blowing smoke. Well, it's time to stop reading just to pass the time or check a box on your reading list. Start reading to gain absolute mastery. Grab a book, grab a sharp pencil, and go make a beautiful intellectual mess of those margins. Your brain will seriously thank you for it.